When we got inside to CNN, it was explosive. Looking at the Hummer vehicle that they use for when they go into the war zones outside of the United States.
It's like its own little city inside CNN. And they have, it's so huge, and then meeting the people there, it was amazing. They're just the nicest people, and that Southern hospitality is just no joke.
CNN was excellent because we got to see real-life journalists doing real-life journalism. We got to meet most of the anchors. We got to meet people at the assignment desk. We got to meet the people who check the scripts. We got to meet the floor crews. We got to see how the studio was set up. That was very exciting. We also got to see the high stakes of what they do and how everything has to be perfect almost every single time they go on camera. There was a very, very small margin for error at CNN, and that's something I did not know coming in. I figured, you know, maybe sometimes things do happen, but at CNN, there has to be no mistakes.
You guys represent our university, you represent our college, and you represent our school of journalism. Okay, this is an incredible opportunity for us. We are guests in somebody else's home, and so let's respect.
Okay, we got our San Jose students in the house.
Yes, being in the CNN newsroom was very intimidating. You know, I felt like I was at the center of the earth at that point, because these people were the gatekeepers of all the information that the rest of the world is informed about.
And just, I mean, just acting just like true, like a professional crew out in the field, sending us your pictures, sending us your headshots and your video and your sound bites and pitching your stories on the morning conference call. I'm very impressed. So big applause to Dr. Cheers.
I mean, the interviews and the information and the excitement and the relationship, you know, with your professor is just, it's so cool. I mean, it brings back so many great memories for me, and this is what it's all about. And if you guys keep this passion and this attitude, you're totally going to kick ass when it's time to get out in the working field.
Well, their road to the inauguration started in San Jose, went through Memphis, into Mississippi and Alabama, and today they're here in Atlanta. San Jose State journalism students who've been touring the South's civil rights landmarks are in the house to tell us about what they've learned. As you know, if you've been paying attention, we've been talking to them every single day. And today they actually joined our morning meeting. Bianca, I talked to you on the first day. What did you think of that morning meeting?
This morning?
Yes, what did you think?
It was fun.
Were you enlightened? Did you expect the editorial process to be like that?
It reminds me a lot of, on a very smaller scale, of what we do at school, but it's something that that is inspiring, and it makes me motivated.
Good. Well, you guys, of course, we told you how you've all inspired all of us. It's been pretty cool to watch you all sort of, I guess, take the role of all of us as you're making your way to the inauguration. But, Cachet, you were the reporter yesterday, right? When you guys were in, where were you?
Birmingham,
In
Alabama.
Birmingham. Gosh, it's hard to keep up with you guys. You were in Birmingham, and you caught up with civil rights leader Fred Shuttlesworth, right? Okay. How was that? What moved you about that time with him?
Well, it was a truly humbling experience. You read books, you see movies, and you follow his work, but to actually be in the room with the man that made a difference, that was the thinking head of so many different demonstrations during the time, so many attempts at his life with beatings and bombings of his home. It moved me to tears, and you know,
Wow.
I shook his hand and told him thank you.
Oh, you did?
I told him thank you, and I explained a little bit about what the trip was about, and
he
nodded
doesn't
his head.
speak, right?
Right.
What exactly happened?
Well, he had suffered a mild stroke recently, and it has slowed some of his speech down a little bit. He does get some words out.
Well, we have broadcast, we have print, we have photographers, which leads me to Derek and Carlos. And you guys picked, each of you picked two of your favorite photos.
Yes.
So let's go ahead and bring up the first two. And Derek and Carlos, you guys can tell me who took this one.
I took that one.
Okay.
That one is I really like that shot. You know,
Say who's in there, why it means a
Jade.
lot to you.
Jade Atkins, was hugging Reverend Kyles, and on the side was Janine.
Oh. And so why don't you, Bianca, why don't you pass the mic over to one of the gals? Why don't you tell me what that was like to embrace? Okay, we've gone to the second photo, so hold on, I'll take you back there in a second. Is this your other photo, Carlos?
Yes.
Okay,
it
tell
is.
me about this one.
Yes, this was taken at the Bryant Market outside Money, Mississippi.
Right, where Emmett Till allegedly
Emmett Till.
whistled at a white woman and lost his life for that.
Exactly.
All right, now this is this your photo, Derek?
Yes.
All right,
this
what photo is this?
photograph was taken at the 16th Street Baptist Church in Birmingham, and it represents what we've been doing on this trip. We've been meeting, interviewing, taking photographs, video shots of the individuals involved in the civil rights movement. I never forget what she told us all, and she described her experience of racial segregation, the importance that the movement was nonviolent, and not in her wildest dreams would she ever imagine the election of a black president. And now she can tell her grandson, look, with preparation, you can overcome, and the sky's the limit.
You know what, Professor, I see, and I should introduce Michael Cheers, Dr. Michael Cheers. This is amazing, and we've got white, Asian, black, Hispanic. We've got the whole rainbow here. This must have been, I mean, this is education in action. This must have been incredible for you as their professor to do this and to watch them just moved by history and also taking them to the inauguration. Another incredible moment in history.
Right. I'm just so happy to have had the guidance of Spirit to give me the idea to come up with the idea for this trip, and the fact that we have the diversity among our student body, to get the students out of their comfort zones, to get them out of the classroom, to put them in some difficult situations where they have to produce content on a daily basis under sometimes not always the.
Yeah, we put you guys through the ringer.
That's right.
we gave you guys deadlines, didn't we?
The best of conditions is what we train them to do, and I'm just so proud of all of them.
It was professors like you that made a difference in my life, and I'm here today because of my professors. And so one of you I know is going to end up taking my job. Just give me a few more years, okay? I need to save a little more money with the bad economy. San Jose students here, majoring in all forms of journalism. Thank you so much, you guys. We want to talk to you when you get to the inauguration, all right? Well, we'll debrief. Sound good?
Definitely.
All right.
Definitely.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
We're going to also, of course, we're going to continue to follow them all the way to Washington. And you can also track them whenever you would like also. Just go to ireport.com. You can follow their journey. You can see their pictures. You can check out their stories. They've been working with us, and it's been awesome.
I was scared. Honestly, I was scared. I was nervous. I know Derek Sider was too. We were very nervous. We were actually reciting what we were going to say. And I know that there was some parts where I got nervous and I kind of fumbled in some of the interview.
I don't have a problem getting in front of people and speaking, but this was big time. It's one thing to get in front of your classmates and, in your speech class and, give your 5-minute speech about why you should recycle. But it is quite another to pitch your story to CNN and make them want to air it on television.
Most of the time, universities get recognition because they have athletes who can run fast up and down football fields on Saturday afternoons and dribble basketballs through arenas and stadiums and slam dunk basketballs and all of that. I would hope that through this project I prove to people that I could slam dunk a thought.
I feel so proud of them because I think that moment they shared with the nation and the world their essence of excellence, their ability to lead, their ability to communicate as professionals to be. What better way can you showcase your abilities when you're on the pressure, on the spot, the world is watching, and you're shining?
So after we visited CNN, we went back to the hotel, and the next morning we went to the King Center and was able to see the final resting place of Dr. King, and it was sad.
he's my idol. He is literally, I mean, he's the person that I look up to, and I saw the place that he was shot, but then also the place that he was buried. I mean, words really can't describe those feelings that, I mean, a lot of people, I mean, I know a lot of people visit the King Center, a lot of people visit the Lorraine Motel, but to do it in this type of sequence, I mean, how many people get the chance to travel from Memphis to Atlanta in a matter of a couple of days to literally follow the steps of such a remarkable man, but then prior to that, hear the story from Reverend Kyles himself explaining, you know, the way that he died.
On February 1st, 1960, 4 North Carolina A&T students, including Franklin McCain, went to buy food at the Woolworth's lunch counter and were sent downstairs to the basement to the colors only section. They refused and sat at the lunch counter where coffee and drinks were poured on them, cigarette butts were put on their necks, racial slurs were yelled at them, food was thrown at them. All kinds of atrocities happened, but they came back. They came back the next day with 16 people. They came back again the next day with 500. By the end of the week, they had over 1,000 people at the Woolworth lunch counter.
It was a time where they did not know that they would be able to return to school. This was a courageous act on their part. And the 4 gentlemen ultimately sparked a movement that spread within 60 days to more than 60 cities across the United States. It was a catalyst. Dr. King credited them with reigniting the civil rights movement. I'm going to ask you to follow me, walk in between these columns, and we're going to walk back to the actual lunch counter where they sat.
And we were fortunate enough to be able to sit in the actual counter seats that Franklin McCain and three other students from North Carolina A&T Agriculture and Technology sat for the first Woolworth counter sit-in. And I actually sat in one of the seats and just took in the moment sitting there.
Woolworth sit-ins, that was, I think, the most powerful experience I had through the whole trip. This, in a historical context, was very much a privilege to be able to sit where, you know, Franklin McCain and the other 3 students had pretty much subjugated themselves.
I looked at the counters and I remembered hearing that scalding hot coffee was poured on the back of their necks, and that people put cigarette butts out on them, and they would pour salt in their hair, or mustard, or ketchup, or anything, and they would beat them and beat them and beat them, and they never showed any resistance.
When I had a chance to sit in the actual chair at the counter, I immediately began to cry. It was just very emotional, and I felt a great sense of humility.
I think it was just all the bottled up emotion of all the injustice that happened during that time, and all the people that had lived through it, and what they endured, and how they're still alive. Like Reverend Kyles, he lived through all that. Being there and meeting people like that, and just seeing all the things that they have lived through, I think it just got to me, and it made me sad that today there aren't people that realize things like that. And it's sad because I see a lot of people that just don't care. Nobody cares. Nobody understands what people did so that they can be here.
There was a time when my grandpa, he was Japanese, but he wasn't able to come to places and eat. And to see that people they cared enough about what was going on to do something about it and to see the things that they had went through so that not just only African Americans would have equal rights, but, everyone. It's just means a lot, and it's touching.
This is why we do what we do. This is why we teach. We don't teach to get rich in material ways. We teach to enrich and to inspire students, and to be able to have the opportunity to bring this group of young, fine young people from San Jose out here on this journey. It's just been remarkable.
We went from the Woolworth counters in Greensboro to Mocksville, North Carolina, where we were going to meet Franklin McCain, the sit-in member, and participate in a Martin Luther King Day or Remembrance March.
And I want to say a special welcome and greetings to the delegation from San Jose. Amen. Thank you for being here. And I'm sure you'll be gratified for the pilgrimage that you are on now. And I'm sure it will be an experience in your life that you will never top again. You certainly will be blessed for it. I always like to determine whether the audience I'm about to speak to is dead or alive. You see, I've got this eulogy that I've been carrying around for the past 15 years. And I'm just dying to use it. But you have demonstrated that you are alive, so once again, I'll have to keep it in my pocket.
Amen. At Mount Shiloh Baptist Church, we did have the distinct opportunity to meet, and I interviewed Franklin McCain at the church. It was a celebration, of course, for Dr. King's birthday, and Franklin McCain was the keynote speaker at the church. He gave a short, powerful sermon, and after...
Martin set a standard and vision for justice and equality. And he taught us that change comes about because of sacrifice and controlled chaos. I mean chaos. You've got to upset people and systems if you want to make change. You've got to irritate people. And that's what I think my life was for. My life, I think, is solely to get under the skin of people and irritate them so much that they think I'm crazy, or that they wish I'd go away and die, or go away and just cover myself under mud. I think that's what my station in life is. I think that's the reason for my being. And if I don't have people telling me occasionally, Franklin, you are still crazy, then I've got some concerns.
But the story that he told and the way he told it to me, that if he could do it, I could do it. And sometimes people think it's cliche that you can do anything you want and, if I can do it, you can. But he really ingrained it in our minds that, look, if I can sit through so much and continue to go back, you young people can tackle anything in life. I mean, impossible is nothing. You guys can conquer all things.
You could tell that he's a brave man, and that bravery has never escaped him from that day on February 1st, 1960 until 2009.
Imagine if he would have just stopped and would have left. What would have happened? It makes you think, if you think back, what if some of the people who had put in the time, who had struggled, who were activists and did not put in the time to try and make people see the injustice that had happened at the trip, where would we be now?
After that day and that interview, as amazing as that whole day was, and it was the end of our interviewing and our civil rights stories, we all knew it was the calm before the storm. We all had that sense because we had one final job to do, and it was the biggest job of all. It was going to be with over 2 million people at the inauguration. We met with Congresswoman Zoe Lofgren at her office in DC, and she pulls out this envelope after the interview, and everybody's looking like, are those what we think?
She not only hosted us, but she surprises us with inauguration tickets. I figured that when we got to Washington, D.C., that we would be back by the Lincoln Memorial or the Washington Monument with the other 1.5 million people looking up at the swearing in on the Jumbotron.
But it sounds like you've seen every important spot there is to see in America when it comes to the history of American civil rights. And I'm sure, I wish I'd been able to go with you. But I'm sure that that's something that's going to stay with you the rest of your life, as I hope tomorrow will.
After we met with her, we went back to our hotel, which is about an hour drive away from the final metro station. We went to bed at 1 o'clock a.m., got up at 2 a.m., got to the metro station at 3 a.m. to get on the first train leaving at 4 a.m.
The line outside the metro station at 4 in the morning looked like a ride at Disneyland in the middle of summer.
I had never been in cold weather like that before. I probably have experienced a little bit around 20 degrees Fahrenheit, but once we stepped out of the van to go wait in line to attend the inauguration, it was bone chilling.
Either direction.
3 o'clock in the morning, and the inauguration wasn't for hours. And I didn't think that we would be able to make it that long in that cold. And I thought of all the people that were going to be out there, and how old and how young and how they were going to stand it.
Getting off the train took us like 30 minutes to get off of a train. We were in that station underneath the inauguration for a good 30 minutes trying to get up the steps.
And there were just people in lines walking. I didn't even know where we were going, and we were going through carefully constructed pathways with fences, and this is at 4 in the morning, so it's still dark outside.
It was difficult even getting into the mall. We stood at a gate with almost 30,000 people unable to get in, and the police had sectioned it off. And they had a lapse in security because we were supposed to go to 14 the Constitution, 4 blocks up. But we ended finding a shortcut through a Catholic church that everybody just sprinted through and got onto the mall. So we finally get to the mall, and we're actually there. It's probably not even 5 o'clock yet. Of course, Barack Obama doesn't get inaugurated until high noon. So it's 9 degrees outside with a wind chill that's making it almost 5 degrees. So now we're just walking in circles, talking to people. We logged a few stories, of course. We ran into Keith Olbermann, saw a couple other celebrities, in the fray, in the thick of things. Watched the broadcast section of the news from all around the world.
I didn't feel like a commoner. I saw celebrities just walking about all over the place. Samuel L. Jackson walked right by. Arnold Schwarzenegger the day before walked right by. And it just gave me the feeling that we were all here because of one reason only, and we all share that common reason to be in this crowd.
I mean, there were thousands and thousands and thousands of people. What was really interesting was that people weren't pushing and people weren't, rushing or anything. Everyone, I think there was like this common excitement amongst the crowds that people were just going with the flow, and everyone was really calm.
Ridiculous amount of security. There was even a lot of people at the subway. I mean, not necessarily security, but just a lot of people, workers at the subway, and then you get to the inauguration, and I mean, I'm talking about security, probably, there was security everywhere. There was not an inch of area that didn't have somebody patrolling it or monitoring it. I mean, everywhere you got, SWAT teams, you got the Army, you got, the police, you got everybody, everybody was there in that moment.
It seemed like they outnumbered us. I saw Chicago police, I saw New York police, I saw Birmingham police, I saw Atlanta police, I saw FBI, Homeland Security, you know, Washington PD. There was armed guards, there were snipers on every building, there was National Guards with 50 caliber machine guns pointed at the crowd. There was police on boats, on horses. There was a news helicopter that was covering the crowds, and it was followed by an Army helicopter. So the amount of security was just amazing.
You know, not that it was difficult, it was just there's so much to do. You know, so many people, so many great photos. And which photo is going to capture the essence of the whole trip, the historical context, the importance of Obama's presidency. You know, the importance of his inaugural address, the importance of what being the first African American meant to people. And I think we captured, all the photographers and all the journalists that were out there captured the essence of what Obama's historic election meant.
The amount of people that were there that day, I had never comprehended it until I saw video the day after. I just knew that it took 45 minutes to move about 20 feet. And that was my world. I saw the backs of people's heads the entire day.
For as much as government can do and must do, it is ultimately the faith and determination of the American people upon which this nation relies. It is the kindness to take in a stranger when the levees break, the selflessness of workers who would rather cut their hours than see a friend lose their job, which sees us through our darkest hours. It is the firefighter's courage to storm a stairway filled with smoke, but also a parent's willingness to nurture a child that finally decides our fate. Our challenges may be new. The instruments with which we meet them may be new. But those values upon which our success depends, honesty and hard work, courage and fair play, tolerance and curiosity, loyalty and patriotism, these things are old. What is required of us now is a new era of responsibility, a recognition on the part of every American that we have duties to ourselves, our nation, and the world, duties that we do not grudgingly accept, but rather seize gladly, firm in the knowledge that there is nothing so satisfying to the spirit, so defining of our character, than giving our all to a difficult task. This is the source of our confidence, the knowledge that God calls on us to shape an uncertain destiny. This is the meaning of our liberty and our creed, why men and women and children of every race and every faith can join in celebration across this magnificent mall, and why a man whose father less than 60 years ago might not have been served at a local restaurant can now stand before you to take a most sacred oath.
All right, so max amount of sleep for everybody in the past 5 days, 10 hours. Everybody, that's the max. Some people slept less, including you. Yeah, so we're tired.
So we finally get back to San Jose, and I can actually look back and see that, man, we were a part of history, but we also made history, and that we actually wrote a piece in the history books that, of course, can never be unwritten.
Oh my God, I'm relieved. I'm thankful, I'm humbled. I'm sad that it's over, but it was a fun trip and it was worth it, and even all the lack of sleep and all the bickering and all the bantering is all worth it in the very end.
It didn't hit me at the moment I was in DC. When I got back home, it hit me big time. When I walked into Dwight Bennell Hall, it hit me big time. What I did. People I didn't even know came up to me shaking my hand.
It's a story that I'm going to get to tell my children, and my children are going to get to tell their children.
So when these young people marched onto the San Jose State campus, they not only got a round of applause, they not only got hugs from me and from everybody who knew what they had done. their shoulders could step back a little bit and be proud. They could walk up to people and say, we have not only read history, we've touched it. We've experienced it through the mind and the voices and the feelings of people who lived it. And more importantly, we engaged in this process as a struggle of learning, not only our technology and writing skills, but also learning about the meaning of this nation and what this new president was all about for all of us. I think our students on this trip brought back a glow that will never be lost in them, and certainly a memory that will never be forgotten at San Jose State University.
Let us mark this day with remembrance of who we are and how far we have traveled.